Slipping support for the voice to Parliament in New South Wales and Victoria while the PM continues to promote the proposal ahead of a dateless referendum. 3 people hospitalised after a shooting in Sydney's southwest that's believed to be a targeted incident. Teachers in South Australia urge to stop performing duties not directly related to learning, while a ban on mobile phones for students set to come into effect tomorrow. And in sport, AFL clubs condemn racist messages directed at Port Adelaide's Willie Rioli after last night's thrilling contest against Collingwood. Good evening. We begin with the latest on the Indigenous voice to Parliament, with new polling showing slipping support in New South Wales and Victoria. Anthony Albanese is continuing to promote the voice while a date for the vote has not yet been decided. National reporter Lincoln Holmes has more.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is continuing to promote the Indigenous voice to Parliament ahead of the referendum later this year. New polling conducted for the 9 newspapers shows support in New South Wales has gone down to 49%. That's down from 53% in May and June. And in Victoria, it's down by 4%. That's down to 52%. Support is lowest in Queensland at just 42%, while WA and SA are tied at 49%. Nationally, 52% say they're voting no.
All of the faith groups are supporting constitutional recognition through a voice. All of our major sporting codes are supporting a yes vote in the referendum. Non-government organisations are supporting a yes vote in the referendum. Australians from all walks of life, all saying, if not now, when?
We've said that's risky, we've said it's unknown, we've said it's divisive, and we've said it's permanent. The reach that the voice would have via the executive power of government and the description of how it would be able to influence every area of government tells me that it would have considerable power, and that power would be risky, divisive, and is unknown.
And Leo, a date for the referendum is yet to be decided, but it is expected to happen sometime in October, if not November.
3 people have been hospitalised after a shooting in Sydney's southwest. Shots were fired at 2 parked cars in Greenacre just after 2 a.m. this morning. 1 man was found by emergency services with head injuries and another with neck injuries, while a woman was left with chest injuries. Detective Superintendent Simon Glasser says the shooting was a terrible incident and believes it was targeted.
You know, it could have resulted in a death at this stage, and it still may. We treat it at its highest. We put all our resources on it. Today we have a lot of police from Auburn Police Area Command, our neighbouring commands and State Crime Command assisting in this investigation.
Authorities have not yet linked the shooting to any ongoing conflict as yet. The Deputy Liberal leader says she has the backing of the opposition leader as she prepares to face a pre-selection challenge. Susan Ley has held the seat of Farrer, which covers Albury in regional New South Wales since 2001, but is now facing a challenge. Ley says Peter Dutton is absolutely backing her. Also facing pre-selection challenges in New South Wales are former Minister Alex Hawke and Melissa McIntosh. She was first elected back in 2019. The Tasmanian Premier has announced a cabinet reshuffle. Jeremy Rockliff will be taking on the new portfolio of Stadia and Events, aimed at delivering the new stadium in Hobart for Tasmania's AFL team. Guy Barnett will serve as Health Minister, Felix Ellis will be the Minister for Racing, Joe Palmer will get the Community Services portfolio, and Madeleine Ogilvie will serve as Minister for Women and Prevention of Family Violence. The Tasmanian Liberals have governed in minority since May, when 2 of its MPs defected to the crossbench to sit as independents, partly because of the stadium issue. The next state election could be held as early as this year, but also as late as 2025. Teachers in South Australia have been urged to stop performing duties not directly related to learning when school resumes for Term 3 tomorrow. The Australian Education Union says they've been negotiating new pay and conditions agreement with the state's Labor government for more than 6 months amid an ongoing staffing crisis in public schools. Also coming into effect tomorrow, a ban on mobile phones for students in those public schools. State Education Minister Blair Boyer saying today the government made the decision to reduce distraction in the classroom and to see more socialising and physical unscheduled activity in the schoolyard. He added that as he speaks with schools who have implemented the ban, he is more convinced every day it is the right thing to do. A US judge has ordered the trial in the classified documents case brought against Donald Trump to begin in May 2024. That would mean it'd occur at the same time as the 2024 presidential race heating up. A scheduled jury selection is set to begin on May 14 in Florida, then a 2-week trial period starting on May 20. The former US president is being accused of withholding and concealing classified and top-secret documents. He is facing criminal charges. Back home into sport now, and AFL clubs have condemned racist abuse directed at Port Adelaide's Willie Rioli after last night's thrilling contest against Collingwood. For more, let's bring in senior reporter Darby Travis. Darby, there are now attempts to identify who said this.
Yeah, Leo, the AFL are saying they are looking to identify a person after multiple comments were made towards Willie Rioli at the end of last night's match. Port Adelaide says in a statement that they will continue to call out what they described as disgusting actions, adding that the club will do whatever it can to hold the behaviour to account and that they are supporting Rioli and his family. Other clubs have also called it out. Collingwood says they stand against racism, and Hawthorn said on social media that the behaviour has to stop and racism has no room in our game. As announced back in May, fans found to be responsible will receive a lifetime ban from all AFL matches. Sticking with the AFL, and scans have confirmed Brisbane Lions midfielder Will Ashcroft has ruptured his ACL in yesterday's win against Geelong. The 19-year-old sustained the injury midway through the final quarter, which resulted in him being subbed out for the remainder of the game. Brisbane Football General Manager Danny Daly says the main priority is for everyone at the club to wrap their arms around Ashcroft and to do everything that they can to support him. Ashcroft has played all 18 matches in his debut season with the Lions, averaging 22 disposals. And the fate of Australia in the fourth Ashes Test is in the hands of the all-rounders, with the Aussies resuming on the final day at 5 for 214, trailing England's first innings total of 592 by 61 runs. Rain has affected play. A draw means Australia will retain the Ashes no matter what the result in the fifth test, but if England do come to win, it will definitely go down to the wire. And Leo, that is the latest tonight in sport. For more updates, just head over to our YouTube channel, search SIXNewsAU to find us.
Right, Darby, thank you. And sticking with the footy, the Northern Bull Ants have been utterly demolished in the Victorian Football League, going down by 157 points against Footscray in Melbourne. The Bull Ants failed to score a single goal. The final score reading 0-4-4 to 24-17, 161 at Preston City Oval. Rory Lobb kicked 5 goals for the Bulldogs, while Tony McLean notched up 34 disposals. Ironically, Footscray holds the record for the lowest score in VFL history since 1897, scoring absolutely nothing back in 1902. The Bull Ants have been struggling on field since their affiliation with Carlton ended in 2020 amid the COVID-19 pandemic. As a standalone side this year, they've only managed just 2 wins, only ahead of winless Coburg on the VFL ladder, although it's not all bad news for the standalone VFL sides. Werribee currently first on the ladder, Williamstown is 7th, but there is a disparity between the standalone clubs. For more, Six News spoke with Herald Sun sports journalist Sam Landsberger.
The common denominator is pokies. So when I started investigating the piece, it was really, I was a little bit blind. I was pretty, I spoke to a lot of people in the footy industry who were really quite flat, who that these proud clubs were really on their knees, lopsided scorelines every week. And I wasn't sure what I'd find, but having gone through all the financial reports of all these standalone clubs, there's no doubt that the difference is gaming. So Williamstown, Werribee, Port Melbourne, Southport, by next year they'll have access to over 600 gaming machines. And then Coburg, the Bull Ants and Frankston, they don't have any. And it is leading to the on-field results which we're seeing. Those clubs are under-resourced, they can't pay the salary cap, and they can't compete on the field. And it's quite sad given the proud history of these clubs and where they are right now.
Yeah, I mean, these clubs going back years, back in the VFA days. And of course, as you say there, I mean, Coburg's still winless, Northern with a total of 4 yesterday. That being said, they're all trying to put in a fight, but it is a challenge. Does it seem like from what you looked at throughout the piece, and I know obviously the Northern Bull Ants especially only had a couple years as a standalone club after the Carlton affiliation ended. But does it seem like they are going to at least try to continue in the short term next year at the minimum? Because 21 clubs, that's a lot they're having to compete against. And again, as you mentioned, the finances, and then of course, just like Brisbane and Gold Coast themselves, their reserve side are just so incredibly successful, even against Werribee and Williamstown, etc.
There's no doubt they want to fight on. You can absolutely take that to the bank. There'll be no sort of plans from the club's point of view to get out. How long that will be viable for, I'm not sure. But there's just so many unevenness throughout the competition. I mean, you mentioned Gold Coast there, and through the AFL list concession rules, they've even got access to additional rookie spots. So every week they're rolling out probably 20 plus AFL listed players, which is more than most. So at every sort of turn in this competition, there's unevenness. I think that the standalones are at the extreme of that. The ones who are really struggling to make a dollar, but it is a competition that's warped on so many levels, and I think it's a big issue for the AFL.
And what is the AFL saying here in regards to what's going on with the model? We, look back to the old AFL reserves comp, and, WASA, they have always done their own thing. They never competed in that old comp, but it seems like we might only be, a few years away from them actually trying to fully revamp the VFL as totally AFL reserves, dump these standalone clubs, whether they like it or not. Have they said anything about potentially changing the model?
No, look, the bit of chatter I heard when I was investigating the piece was that Port Adelaide and Adelaide's reserves would jump over from the SANFL and potentially join the VFL. The AFL told me that's not true. There's no plan to change the model. I think there is a strong public belief that we are heading towards an AFL reserves league. I don't see that as being an option, certainly not in the short term. I think the costing from an AFL point of view would just be too extreme to be flying teams from Perth to Melbourne and to Brisbane, every week. I just think that would leave such a bill that's not something the AFL will look at in the short term. They tell me they're happy with the model as it is. There's no plans to change it. But as you said, 21 teams, 3 states, 100-point blowouts every week. Northern Bull Ants not kicking a goal in their last game. There's hair on it everywhere, but I'm pretty confident that we're not we're not at a stage where we can seriously look at an AFL reserves competition. I think they'll plough ahead with this model, certainly for the foreseeable future.
And just quickly on what the AFL is saying, I take it nothing about trying to bring back the NEAFL, which of course was where you had New South Wales, Queensland clubs plus Canberra and the NT for a bit. Nothing about that?
Oh, no, to be honest, I mean, look, when they set up this expanded VFL, a lot of those clubs on the eastern were given the opportunity to come in. Obviously, Southport did, and these VFL clubs did. I think Ashley said yes at the start, but then decided no, it wasn't worth the cost. But no, I think right now the AFL's mantra is let's persist with the status quo. But to me, they seem to be a little bit blind on the issue. I don't think they fully appreciated, probably until the story ran, how the disparity in the finances. I think this is one which they're still getting their head around, to be honest. I mean, some of the numbers, they were pretty jaw dropping. To see Werribee basically banking $1 million a month in revenue from gaming, and they're going to open another 70 machines next year at Club Tarneet. I think this is an issue which the AFL is still trying to get their head around, and hopefully last week's story, might accelerate that a little bit.
That was Sam Landsberger there, Herald Sun sports journalist. Changing pace now for the latest from Perth. Here's Ivan and Melly with what's coming up tonight on WAMN News.
Thanks, Leo. Tonight on WAMN News, have you decided yet? New polling underway to find out whether West Australians have decided on what to vote regarding the voice to Parliament. A WAMN News exclusive.
Final countdown begins for the Rockingham by-election as independents hope to capitalise on Labor's vote swing.
A man arrested over an alleged abduction attempt of a schoolgirl in Warnbro.
Liberals' young gun to challenge Labor's safest seat, saying Rockingham isn't ready for AUKUS. And later, Dr Andrew Miller's comment. Join us tonight on the WMN News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
All right, thanks to Ivan Melly there. A reminder of the top stories we are following on 6 News this hour. A new polling has showed slipping support for the voice to Parliament in New South Wales and Victoria. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is continuing to promote the voice, while a date for the vote has not yet been decided. And 3 people have been hospitalised after a shooting in Sydney's southwest. Shots were fired at 2 parked cars in Greenacre just after 2 a.m. this morning. Police have described it as a terrible incident and believe it was targeted. That is 6 News for this hour. There is more news 24/7 on our website, SIXNewsAU.com, and on social media. You search 6NewsAU to find us. More news coverage continues right after this. For now though, I'm Leonardo Puglisi. Thanks for your company. Good night.